Hey guys, long time no speak. Just going to fill you in on a few things now the dreaded winter's kicked in. I've had a few people message me and say how am I coping with the winter, and to say I'm not coping is an understatement. I bloody hate it. For me, I'd sort of end up somewhere in New Zealand and sort of come October time and come back here about, I don't know, April, May if I had my way. But anyway, obviously we're all having the big freeze. I'm sure you guys have as much as we have. When it's like this, because our horses have all been out show jumping and hunting, which, like I said before, I don't give them a long holiday, because if this happens and I'd only just got them up, I'd suddenly be thinking, how the hell am I going to get them fit? So because our horse has been hunting and jumping, the last couple of weeks we've basically been frozen, can't do anything. It's not mattered too much, although we have been lucky enough that the road's been good enough to trot them out, a bit like getting hunters fit doing road work. Today we've come to Waresley Park stud to do a bit of indoor jumping, because even our arena surfaces are frozen. Because I still am going to get them out jumping if I can indoors, but obviously, like I said, with our arenas being frozen, but you know, it's also good to box them up, bring them away from home. We've got a few new additions to the family, which I'll introduce you to. One which is Breeze, who's come in to be sold. He's a very nice 4-year-old. I'll tell you more about him when I'm riding him. And one is a grey horse called Ollie, who we're not sure if he's for sale or not. And again, I'll explain the situation with that. So yeah, like I said, not coping with the freeze whatsoever. I'm about to emigrate, but no, I'm not. So no, you know, like I said, just coping as well as we can. There's no sort of magic wand to it. It's just getting them out as much as we can, and getting, you know, like I said, we're lucky that we're not down any sort of back roads, so we can get out onto the main roads pretty easily and just box the horses up and try and get out and do stuff. Okay guys, so this is Breeze. He's 4 years old. He is in to be sold. Lovely, lovely sort. He's been an absolute pleasure to have from the moment he sort of came into the yard. You'll get to watch him. For a 4-year-old, incredibly easy, incredibly straightforward, and one we really like, you know. Again, like I've said before, I only like having horses for sale that I personally like, and he's just an absolute darling. So, you know, anybody wants a nice hunter / eventer, burning event horse for next year, he's been so easy to do. He's been more like a 14-year-old, not a 4-year-old. A friend of mine came and jumped him at the weekend who wouldn't be that experienced, and Breeze was absolutely brilliant. Just I wanted to see what he was like with a less experienced person, and he just, you know, was absolutely fantastic. So just a really genuinely nice type, nice sort, as hopefully you'll see. I'll just do a bit on the flat and jumping with him so you can get an idea. Okay, so you've hopefully just seen Breeze. Had the odd couple of run outs, but do you know what, he's such a baby, and what the nice thing is, I said no, and he was sorry, came and jumped at the next time. This is the thing about education of horses. You can't expect them not to make mistakes. It's just that when you correct the mistakes, it's what they do then. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry, didn't kick out, didn't come back at me, came on the next time, lovely nice forward stride and jumped it super. So for a 4-year-old, I think he's absolutely lovely. Okay everyone, hopefully you've obviously seen Breeze go, and Pinky. It's quite interesting actually, it wasn't planned to ride those two after each other, but they're very similar in experience, but it's very interesting that Breeze is obviously very uncomplicated and straightforward, and he would be what I would call anybody's ride. And then Pinky, who's, you would probably say, well no, not probably, you would say he's got much more about him, but is more complicated. You know, he's just a complex character, but he's somebody who wants to jump. You saw him, hopefully you'll have seen him, go 2 strides in the double, but again you could see that I was very positive. I sat very central in the saddle, so I wasn't behind him or I wasn't too far in front of him. And then after doing that, I came onto a little plank and I was very forward. So after the double I landed and I was like, yeah, that was great, but now let's go forwards. So he didn't land and think backwards. If I'd have gone to my hand and gone, oh God, 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 he would have gone negative. But because we did a lovely nice forward shot to the plank, it immediately put him back in the forward mode. So Pinky, as you will still see, is a little bit delicate in his mouth, but he's so much better. Rachel Burton came over and found quite a bit to do, which is great. We love Rachel. And he's just so much better in his mouth. He is a horse who is naturally going to be more fussy in his mouth, but he's far more even to the rein. He's not sort of throwing his head around. So I think he'll come to very quickly, and I think you'll see a very nice horse next year with him, because he's got all the ability in the world and he wants to do it. He's just getting his brain round totally on our side. Well, at the moment it's 99.9%, but it's just getting the fussiness out of him, which I think going out and doing stuff will be great, because he's got to think about going forward and getting on with the job rather than sort of messing around and being a bit of a Jack the Lad. Because actually, I'll just say this quickly, sorry, I'm gabbling on. Because he finds it so easy, and you've seen he's very, very naturally athletic and comes off the ground, we can challenge him a bit more with the jumping, which makes him concentrate even more. Because if we kept him small and didn't challenge him, he'd be a bit like, oh, I'll lark around and be a Jack the Lad. Where because we've got them quite big and, you know, doing skinnies and stuff, it makes him actually have to buckle down and concentrate with the job in hand. Guys, hopefully you'll be watching me on Jimmy. Jimmy's very similar to Pinky in many ways, in that he's got a lot of jump and he's quite a precocious brat when it comes to jumping, and we, a bit like with Pinky, have to challenge him, but in actually a far more sort of not aggressive way, sort of a firmer way. That's a good word. We have to sort of challenge him in a really firm way. Like Pinky, I'm a bit like, yeah, because he's careful and spooky and green, I'm like, yeah, go, you know, go and express yourself in these ways. Jimmy, I have to be like, no, you do it like this. And a couple of times you'll have seen he got a few fences wrong and really had them, but that's really good for him because it makes him think, oh, hang on, I ought to listen. Because Jimmy finds it so easy, he thinks he knows best. But you know, he's got a hell of a lot of scope and he'll be a lovely horse for next year. And this is Colin. You've not met Colin yet. Colin's my horse. I bought him just before Burley. And I just bought Colin for me to hunt. I've had some absolutely wonderful days hunting with him. He'd never hunted before. And I've won a bit of money show jumping, which always helps. He is basically my toy. That's the best way to describe him. I really like him. I may have to sell him in the future, which I wish I didn't. But, you know, he's great. He's a real character. You will give him a jump and you'll see. He basically has got a little bit of a buck in him, but I don't mind that. I quite like him. But yeah, no, he's, like I said, he was just for me to play with. I'm hoping I don't have to sell him. But he's got 10 or 12 points, eventing, jump double clear around novices, just because he's a bit of a character. But like I said, you'll watch him jump and then you can make your own minds up about him. I love him, and he's given me some fantastic days hunting, so that's what I bought him for. So whatever he does apart from that is a bonus.
Yeah, but bigger.
Yeah.
All she's saying is go forward. Go forward. Bit excited. Is she doing till in next? Yeah. Yeah, we're not.